Hello. Hello.
Hello, is this Harry Coulton?
Yes, yes.
Hi, it's Laura calling from the Icacu. I'm just calling you just to speak through your application and to let you know that I'll be sending an email communication to you. But I just made your request to go through it over the phone there.
How kind of you for calling. Thank you. I've got some. I don't think I'm going to be able to be a client of yours because of my level of disability.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very. I will try to explain it, but essentially the problem is that I lack mental capacity. Therefore, I cannot instruct a lawyer.
Yeah.
And the person who has abducted the child is my guardian. So essentially, I've abducted my own child.
Okay, so could you explain to me who the guardian is, just so that I've got a slightly better understanding?
So essentially, is this: I was going through a similar case back in 2011,
Yeah.
and the High Court judge said to me that because I cannot pass a mental capacity exam, I have no right to prevent my children, who are British, from being wrongfully deported from the United Kingdom.
Right, okay.
And so ever since I was made aware that because of my brain injury, I need a guardian in order to do things like instruct a lawyer, I have been spent the last 14 years looking for this guardian.
Yeah.
The problem is that social workers are supposed to help you, but they have not helped me. And so as a result, I have reported perhaps 36 social workers to Social Work England for fitness to practice concerns because they don't even know what a guardian is.
Okay.
Yet the problem is I lack the mental capacity to follow their complaints process. So I don't know what's happened to my complaints, but essentially it is social workers who are supposed to help you find one. Anyway, so after 12 years of not being able to get a guardian, I found somebody to be a guardian.
Yeah.
They weren't a trained guardian. I didn't get them through social work. It's just a person I met in the museum.
Yeah.
And so my papers were then put into the Court of Protection 3 years ago, 2.5, 3 years ago.
Yeah.
But the problem is that because I haven't got mental capacity, I can't communicate properly with the Court of Protection to get them the guardianship papers. Nevertheless, even though this person is still not approved by the Court of Protection, I have been using them as my guardian on a medical basis.
Okay.
And so that basically means that it is a person who I see every day, and how can I describe it? I can't form relationships because of my brain injury. However, in order to form this relationship, a certain amount of bonding had to go through. And part of that bonding process was to have a child.
Right, okay.
And so the child was then part of this bonding process. And this might sound strange to you, that you've heard of people who are Siamese twins or something like that. So essentially, part of my brain function, the part that completes my mental capacity, occurs in the brain and the actions of the guardian. And when that guardian disappears, I lose my mental capacity. At first it causes a trauma, but then afterwards I lack the capacity in a medical sense. And so they disappeared on the 4th of June. Up until that point, I had been seeing them on a daily basis, and I'm still paying. They're still my guardian, even though I don't see them anymore. I still pay them about £700 a month.
Okay. So can I just clarify? So is this like a privately hired or a privately paid guardian?
They're unpaid. They're unpaid. What I do is I spend about £2,000 a month on their care, renting a home for them, giving them. They have no other income except from me, and so I basically support them. And therefore they can rent a house, and then sometimes I can stay at that house, and they act as it's like a form of orthotic support. Like a wheelchair is an orthotic support if your legs don't work, and a guardian is an orthotic support if your brain doesn't work.
Okay.
And I'm trying my best to try and explain to you the relationship.
Okay. So the guardian. So do you know where they've gone with the child?
I do, but my difficulty is this. For several reasons, I can't divulge it. And
Okay.
firstly, there would be a breach of data privacy, of my data privacy, of the guardian's privacy, of the child's privacy. And I haven't really got, for some reason, I haven't really got the mental capacity to do it. And secondly, I'll try to explain it in practical sense.
Yeah.
I am very reliant upon the guardian, not only for my own care, but for the care of the child. And so, if I was to divulge the identity of these people, that it would cause them problems. And
Okay.
the way that lawyers work, they work to make two sides fight together. My brain cannot cope with confrontation. And also, I don't want to make any problems whatsoever for my guardian in terms of what they are trying to do in their life and in terms of looking after the child, which I can't do. So the problem is this. The way I'm looking at this is more like I want my child to be brought up in the United Kingdom, to be British like me, because the child that was deported in 2011 when they were 9 years old, I lost my contact with them, and they grew up to be a foreigner.
Right. Okay.
And so this person does not want to live in the United Kingdom, and I want my child to be British, to understand that her family are British, and she's from this country. And I've seen what happens to children who are taken away from their own country before they get to the age of puberty, and they will lose their sense of national identity.
Yeah. Okay.
And we are British people. We're not foreigners. I want, for example, if the child has problems with their homework but doesn't speak English, I couldn't help the child. If they're brought up in this country and speak English, at least I can help them with some school homework.
Yeah. Okay.
But this is the reason I'm doing it. There's a huge problem here because of my lack of capacity, and the fact that the person who has taken the child they're not my court of protection guardian, even though I've got papers there because the papers haven't been granted, but they are my medical guardian, and I don't have anyone else to replace them. It took me 12 years to find this individual, and I don't know what the chances are that I can find a replacement.
Okay. So just to go back to the application that you're trying to make for the return. So in order for us to be able to even send a request for return onto another country, we would need to have sufficient information in order to enable us to transmit that to the other country.
I need to get something right. I can't look after this child. There is no support in this country to look after the child. It doesn't exist. I'm reliant upon the mother of the child to look after the child. But if the mother doesn't want to come to the United Kingdom, my application is not going to force them.
Okay, yeah.
So therein lies a problem. There's nobody. The child has to stay with the mother. But the problem is that okay, how can I put it? In the country that the child has gone to, it's not suitable for people who are disabled like I am. They would lock me up and put me in institution. At least in the United Kingdom, I got some freedom still, but they have already threatened to lock me up because they think that I'm a danger.
Okay.
Because I cannot propel my wheelchair safely. And at the moment I'm working very hard with the DVLA to have special number plates put on my wheelchair because I can't. I have a broken neck. I cannot propel my wheelchair on pavements. I can only propel my wheelchair in road traffic.
Okay.
Because on the pavements there is the obstacles, the other pedestrians are too varied, and I can't react quickly enough to keep having to turn and stop. At least if I'm in road traffic, the flow is a lot smoother and it causes less harm to my body. So at the moment, the DVLA are trying to put number plates on my wheelchair so that I can at least get it insured on the road. So if I go to a foreign country, they're not going to tell me, get off the road, this is a wheelchair.
Yeah.
In that country, I already have prosecutions against me because of my inability to propel wheelchairs according to their traffic rules.
Okay, so do you understand how the Hague Convention works? Because to my understanding, there's no requirement you would not need to travel to the other country, but you could potentially put forward a different plan in order to.
But what would be a fitting plan if the mother can't travel to the United Kingdom with the child? How on earth is there going to be any suitable solution?
Well, that would be something that, well, I know you've mentioned there that you can't work with lawyers and that you wouldn't be able to instruct a lawyer.
Yeah, I've already contacted lawyers in that country.
Yeah.
And the way I describe things, they just say my questions are not legal questions because their law hasn't considered dual person identity. My identity doesn't lie just in myself. I have a double body identity. I have my body, which I was born with, and then I have part of my identity is in the mind of the guardian who completes my mental capacity. And I think also the legal system in the United Kingdom doesn't recognize dual body identity. Even if you're a Siamese twin, they consider you two separate people.
Yeah.
But in my case, I don't share a body with somebody else. I share a brain with somebody else.
Okay.
And there is a huge problem that my identity is not properly accepted in law.
Okay.
Do you understand what I'm trying to explain?
I can't say I understand it completely because it's very new to me, but I'm trying to understand.
Well, okay, but at least I've kind of got the idea across.
Yeah. So thank you for explaining that to me. So
I don't lack intelligence. What I lack is mental capacity.
Yeah.
Because
and I'm not implying that at all, Harry.
No, it's not. No, I'm just trying to explain things. I got my master's degree in law after my brain injury, and essentially, I don't know if you can hear it by the way I speak, but a lot of people think I'm shouting and angry all the time, but this is not the case. I have a word-forming problem that when I try to speak, instead of aesthetic, pleasing behavior and concepts come out things that other people find upsetting. And
I'm not upset. I'm not finding any of this upsetting.
Well, but I'm saying not you personally, but most people find it this way. And my doctors have really told me I have to isolate myself and not have too much contact with people because people quite often react to me in a violent way. And and I would get the blame for that because the police, of course, wouldn't understand my speech problems.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I've understood, or I'm trying to understand what you've said so far. But just if we can just go back to so my role is very administrative.
Yes.
Within the Icacu.
Are you a trained solicitor lawyer yourself? Have you got a law degree?
I'm not a lawyer, no. None of the Icacu are lawyers. None of the Icacu are lawyers. We're all administrative staff. The Icacu doesn't have any lawyers assigned to its unit. It's separate to the official solicitor's office. We come under the official solicitor's office, but we're separate to that. So the Icacu is one of two units within the international central authorities. So we basically have a role in transmitting and receiving applications under certain conventions So the convention that's relevant here is the Hague Child Abduction Convention.
Oh.
So our role is to look at the applications that have been sent in, see whether or not we have enough information there to accept on an administrative basis, and then we would then transmit it over to the other Hague country. So
Yes.
at the minute we're still at that very first part where I'm looking at the application, the correspondence you sent in, and at the minute we don't have enough information from you to be able to send that on to another country.
I understand. And the reason I was pushing this is because I was told that you have to do this within 1 year of the abduction.
Yeah, so that is generally correct, unless there are supporting reasons as to why you've not been able to submit that within 1 year. That is something that tends to be looked at, but that's a legal point. That's not an administrative point. That's the kind of legal point that, generally we would be looking to submit that application within 1 year, unless there's supporting reasons that the applicant gives as to why it's not been submitted within that 1 year. Because after the 1 year has passed, it's easier to say that that child might be habitually resident in another country.
Yes, I have
Again,
got.
that's a legal point.
What I do have, I've got all the bills paid for the child's education.
Yeah. Okay.
So I have about 1 year of school bills to prove that part of it. And also,
Okay.
I have bills saying that I have paid for the accommodation for the child and the guardian for 2 years.
Okay, so before we get to that point, if you want to use Icacu and if you want to go via this route, we have to have a full application form from you, and the details. I understand that you've got your reasons for wanting to withhold details, but we can't accept applications if the details are withheld, because we can't assess whether or not the request meets the requirements of the convention without having those details, which do include personal details.
Yeah, well, exactly, but that's two problems. There's a breach of privacy, and I'm very scared about that country because I am a wanted felon in that country, owing to my inability to propel my wheelchair according to their road traffic rules. And that is one concern for myself, and I haven't got the mental capacity to defend myself, to either instruct a lawyer in that country or defend myself in a court of law. Yeah, so that is one thing that I have a great concern about, and the other thing is that the argument that I abducted my own child would stand only on a medical basis, but not on a legal basis, because the guardian is a medical guardian as opposed to a legal guardian, and so I'm not. How can I put this? I think the greatest problem, I think, is that the way all these laws work is that they fail to accept people's actual identity. I think they don't understand dual body identity. That I have to leave the child with the guardian because I'm in no what's the word? I'm in no shape whatsoever to look after a child.
Okay.
And I tried going over there, but it's very difficult because I have to have somebody with me. I can't travel independently. It's too dangerous for me. And so I have to travel with somebody, and it's very hard to find anybody to travel with me because I have antisocial behavioral problems. And so there's not a lot of people who are prepared to assist me with something like this.
Sure.
It's difficult for people to look after me or to be with me because I get into trouble and make problems for the people who are looking after me.
Yeah. Okay. So the first thing that I just would like us to just look at, if we can, is just the initial. If submitting the form is going to be a problem, that's the first thing that we would need from you.
Yeah.
So I can't complete the form for you, but if you would need to submit to us at least a base level of information, including personal details.
I've sent in 3 versions of the form. Can you send me
Yeah.
the one that you believe is the most complete, and put some highlighting marks on that, asking me to complete it?
Yeah, I can do that. I can do that. There's quite a lot of information, Harry, that we've not got from you to be able for us to just look at and be able to decide whether or not we can accept it, because it's just at the minute doesn't have enough information on it.
Was one part of the information the school data?
Yeah. So I can go. I can when I send you an email and highlight, I will if it's okay with you, I'll include it in an email and I'll go section by section what we would need from you, if that would help. Let me just pull up what we've got. So the first, would it be beneficial for me to go through it with you on the phone, or would you prefer me to send it via email?
Well, I'll give you the information I feel I can give, but if there's some problems, I just say put a mark on that and send it through by email, and I try and spend some time thinking about that.
Yeah. Okay. So, to begin with, so I've written out what we would need. So we need to have full information from you, including personal details. Personal information cannot be withheld because we need to know names, and we need to know dates of birth, and we need to know locations and things like that. So
Yes. Yes. So I have to give you some more information. I'm currently homeless, and
Okay.
and the essential. I wasn't homeless before. However, before the abduction, the Guardian told me that we were going to relocate.
Yeah.
And so they said I was paying for them to stay in a flat that I paid £1,000 a month for. So they basically told me to pack up the house, and so I packed up the house because I can't pay. I gave all I can do was give them my money, and then they paid the rent and they paid the bills because I can't organise. And then when the home was packed up and gone, then we went to stay in a hotel for 10 days, and then all of a sudden they just said to me, "Okay, I'm going. I'm going off on my own. Don't follow me."
Yeah.
And so, at that point, I didn't have a home to go back to.
Yeah.
And the only reason that I stayed in a home is because I had a guardian, and the guardian cannot be expected to be a homeless person on the street, as I am ordinarily. And so, without a guardian, I can't live in a dwelling. Do you understand?
So where are you staying now?
I'm sleeping rough.
Okay.
So this is a problem, and of course, nobody's going to send a child to a homeless person, even if it's in their own country. Do you see?
Yeah,
because I haven't got the mental capacity to get involved in any kind of contract. I can't deal with contracts. I can't, because it will cause me to have seizures, and I can't organise.
Okay.
So therein lies that's that part of the problem. I don't have an address now. Recently, I've been staying with my elderly mother who needs some care, but she would never give consent for me to use her address because she knows that I am a complete disgrace.
Okay.
So do you understand? I don't have a fixed address that I can use. Even if I stay with my mother, she would never consent to me allowing that to be divulged to anybody because she's a very private person.
Yeah. Okay. So there's going to be lots for you to consider, Harry. Then whether or not you are able to submit a full form for us to consider them for, but we need the full identity of the child and of both parents, of you and you mentioned the mother, I'm assuming, and do correct me if I'm wrong, but the guardian that you're speaking about is the mother of the child, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so we need the full identities of all these parties to So you're the child, and then the mother, the guardian, the alleged abducting parent. You'll also need to state where you believe the child is habitually resident. So if that's in the UK, if it's England, if it's Wales, if it's Ireland, you need to state that. So that's in section 1.
But what can I do if the child had an address before abduction, but that address doesn't exist anymore because the keys have been given back to the landlord?
Yeah, well, you can still state that address as the address that the child was living at, because it seems like you may have reasons there.
Even if that address wasn't in the UK.
Well, where was the address previously?
It was in another European country.
Okay, so well, the idea of the Hague Convention is to return the child to the country of habitual residence. So if the child has, if the guardian, the mother, and the child have gone from one European country to another European country, then the purpose of the Hague Convention is to return it to the original country that the child was habitually resident.
But the child hasn't got any parents there. It's got no family there.
That would be unfortunately a matter of law, because the idea of the Hague Convention is to return children to their country of habitual residence.
Well, their country of habitual residence is the United Kingdom.
So if the child has lived in the United Kingdom?
No, the child has never been to the United Kingdom. But let me try to explain it like this. When the mother was pregnant, they were receiving medical care in the United Kingdom.
Okay.
But the problem was this, is that the NHS sprung on me a bill for about £15,000 for antenatal care. And so I presented my argument to the hospital, and I said to them that the child, the person who's receiving the antenatal care is in fact myself, because of the guardianship and because of the bond that has to form between me and the guardian.
Okay.
And so the problem is that instead of accepting our arguments and understanding dual body identity in a medical sense, they called the police and the social workers, and they intimidated us, and they would not lower their bill. And so it was based upon that the guardian made a decision to give birth outside of the United Kingdom.
Okay, so then the child never lived in the United Kingdom.
Exactly. But it does not mean that their place of habitual residence is not the United Kingdom, because my habitual residence has always been the United Kingdom. And the fact of the matter is that the child, let me put it this way, the child had to be born outside of the United Kingdom because of intimidation by the hospital, by the social workers and the police, because I didn't have the mental capacity to employ a lawyer to defend, because the police were constantly going around to different people's addresses and breaking the door down. My son came home, he said, oh, the door has been broken down, there's a note here from the police. So we felt that the level of communication that we were having with the hospital was not professional. And so the result was that the child was born overseas because we couldn't afford the high medical bills from the NHS, and there was a huge level of intimidation by the staff at the hospital. They did not deal with us in a professional manner. Now getting back to what you were saying about the habitual residence of the child. So, that just because, so the child was then born outside the UK, but the child could not come back to the UK because when a child is born, they are breastfeeding. And you can't take a breastfeeding baby away from the mother. And the mother, of course, at that point, didn't have a visa to return to the United Kingdom. So how could they come back to the United Kingdom when they had no visa? And it's not easy to get a visa to the UK. I mean, you just look what's happening on the streets at the moment with all this reform stuff.
Yeah.
And on top of that, it took me 18 months to get the child a British passport. the British government were being extremely difficult and couldn't, and so why would they let a foreign child into the UK who hadn't even been given a passport yet? I had to make 8 applications. I paid 8 times for this passport application and made 2 applications. I paid twice for an emergency travel document to get the child to the UK. And the problem was that even though the child eventually got a British passport, they couldn't travel because I was reliant upon the mother, being a disabled person, to get to the United Kingdom.
Okay.
And also the mother cited this, is that I have a council tenancy in London, which I've had for 15 years, but the place hasn't got a wheelchair ramp. I can't get in and out of the property, and the place is run down. It has a problem with a rat infestation, and the place is in a terrible shape. Why would the mother come and stay in a place like that? I have been asking the council for many years to make this place a suitable place for a person who is brain injured in a wheelchair. And the bottom line is they never did anything to sort out the problems. It still has a rat infestation. It still doesn't have wheelchair access. And the place looks like a complete hovel. And so, you know, there were these other factors that prevented the child from, after the mother gave birth, going to United Kingdom. And on the top of that is that, how can I put it? There was no proper care for somebody like me under the social care system.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not saying that they have. I'm not even alleging that in the country where the child has given birth or where the mother is now, that they have got any suitable care for somebody such as myself. But I'm saying that once you put in the fact that the mother is then required to get a visa to travel to United Kingdom, which the Home Office could easily just turn down, there was a lot of factors that prevented the child from returning to their country of habitual residence.
Yeah, so that, again, it's a legal point which I'm not qualified to get into.
Yes,
Habitual residence,
but I've explained it the best I can.
Yeah, so habitual residence regarding the Hague Convention is where the child is integrated into society. So that's the basis for the application. Would need to meet an administrative kind of point that has the child been living in England. For us to be able to accept the application, have they been living in England and Wales for a certain amount of time, and are they integrated into society here? So are they registered at the doctors? Are they registered at nursery in England and Wales?
Yes, they are registered. So, they are the mother and the child are both registered at a GP in London. And on top of that, I have registered the child at local nurseries to where the council residence is.
But they've never lived here. They've never lived in London or lived in England.
I understand that, but that's different from habitual residence. If somebody cannot return to their country of habitual residence because of barriers such as lack of facilities and you can't get a visa, that should not prohibit somebody from declaring a country as their country of habitual residence.
Okay, so I need to. You would also need to. This is all in the email I'm going to send to you, Harry. But you also need to submit supporting documents for that. So you would need to submit documents that demonstrate sufficiently that the child was habitually resident. So if you have documents that you feel demonstrate the child's habitual residence here, then great, you can submit that. And then you will also need to submit documents that show that you have parental responsibility for the child.
Now, what does parental responsibility mean? Like a birth certificate?
Yeah, but if you were a named parent on the birth certificate, yeah. So if not, then you would need to submit some other additional documents. So are you named on the birth certificate?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, so you need to submit the birth certificate to us, and then that would demonstrate that under UK law that you would have parental responsibility for the child, as long as that's not been restricted in any way. So if there's any other court orders or anything that's relevant, if you've been had any family court proceedings or anything in this country,
there have been none, and I absolutely insist that this does not I don't want to get involved in that because I have tried in the past, and I tried to explain to the lawyer at the time that I was disabled, and
Yeah.
the lawyer said to me, if you inform the judge that, you'll get all the decisions made against you. So I don't really want to get involved
Yeah.
in legal processes which are designed to discriminate against people with disabilities.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't. I absolutely will not get involved with that.
That's okay. I'm not asking you to get involved in that. I'm just telling you that if that in order to demonstrate parental responsibility, that's 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 what we would need to look at. So parental responsibility, but you said there you're named on the birth certificate.
And there have been no further court proceedings.
Yeah, and no further court proceedings. And have you got a copy of the birth certificate, or could you get a copy of the birth certificate?
No, I have those things.
Okay. So we need a copy of a photocopy of the birth certificate. It's fine, or a scan if you have access to that, or if you can take a photo of it or something to send to us. So it would need to be showing your name, the child's name, and then the name of the mother on the birth certificate. So that's the parental responsibility. And then habitual residence, we've spoken a little bit about that you're wanting to submit documents that show, that demonstrate that the child has been habitually resident in England prior to the removal to the other country. So we also need the form completed in full, and don't worry too much if you're taking notes and stuff. I'm going to send this over, but you're obviously welcome to.
I'm not taking notes, but I'm just giving you the information that I feel would help.
Yeah, no problem. And then the section 2 of the form, so this is the request an individual or institution. So we've got your name, Harry, but we just need that completed in full. So as much information as you can give us there. Section 3, so the place where the child is thought to be. So I can see on one of the forms that you submitted, you've indicated that it's likely to be the Netherlands. So we may be able to transmit an application to the Netherlands, provided that all the other information is required. So you just need to explain why you believe they've been removed to the Netherlands, and if you know that they're in the Netherlands, then that's fine, but you need to list that there.
Can I just be clear about something?
Yeah.
At any point in this process, will the town hall be the local town hall where the child is be made aware of these proceedings?
I'm not sure that specifically town hall. I'm not sure what you mean by that. What do you mean by town hall?
Well, like the council, local council.
It's a judicial process, Harry, so it'll go through the courts. I'm not entirely sure what the process is in the Netherlands, but usually it will go to, so the application would be sent to the Netherlands. They would decide whether or not that they accept the application from their end, and then if they do, they will then pass it out to the relevant judicial bodies that will be dealt with within the court.
Yeah, but my problem is that I don't want. How can I put this? I'm concerned about breaches of data privacy, and I don't want people within their judicial process giving information to third parties without my knowledge or my consent.
Yeah.
Do you understand that? I don't. Yeah. If I go to somebody and I say, "Do this for me," and they will say, "Well, Mr. Colton, I need you to, I need to give these documents to to these other bodies." If they ask me first, I can say yes or no. But if they just do these things as part of their normal procedure without informing me, I would object to that.
Yeah, okay. Well, you can make that clear. I mean, as far as Icacu are concerned, we process all data within our own data protection policies and within our own privacy policies. And the data is held on a secure database that limited people have access to. Once we transmit the application to another country, we've got a base level of, that the central authority has to meet a basic level of data protection in order to even be able to be a part of the convention. But we don't have any control about what happens to data once it's there. I mean, I can try and reassure you and say that, the Netherlands is very hot on data protection. We've never had any issues in the past, but obviously that's something for you to consider, because once we pass the application over, each jurisdiction has their own way of working, different ways of doing things. I'd like to hope that the Netherlands has really, really strong data protection laws. I know that they password protect everything, everything's held up securely, but the Icacu doesn't have any control
they could probably have they probably believe they can hand things to people, and they don't care about me because they know I don't have the resources to challenge them when things go wrong.
It's a consideration, Mr. Coulton. I can't tell you what you need to consider there. We would need to have this information. You'd need to be able to agree that we can pass that over to the other country. Once it's there, I'm just letting you know we don't have any control over what happens to the information once it's there. So if that means that
Well, yes,
you don't want to go through the application, then that's for you to decide.
But before it gets sent there, you could at least provide me with the organisation to it's handed to.
What, we can give you their details, do you mean?
Yes, and then I can make my inquiries as to exactly if there's any limitations I need to ask them.
Yeah, I'm just going to make a note of that request because we can definitely give you the contact details of the central authority there because if the information's online.
Yeah.
It's in the public domain. There's no issues with me passing on any details for the central authority.
Yeah, I think that the biggest problems I have in all of this is the complete absence of the correct medical care that somebody like myself requires. And even if I take out private health insurance, the health insurers are not going to cover the type of support that I need.
Yeah.
So therein lies a huge problem for somebody such as myself, that the processes are always going to be working against me because of my level of vulnerability. And so this is what my greatest problem is. And the last thing I'm trying to do is make problems for anybody. All I'm trying to do is that I have a history of British children being taken away from the United Kingdom, being put with people who don't want to look after those children, and as a result, the children end up homeless and end up being sexually violated. And then when those children are sexually violated in the foreign country, I haven't got the mental capacity to communicate with the police, the courts, or the lawyers about these problems. And this is not a fantasy. This is what I have been going through in my life.
Yeah. Okay.
And the British government are not going to give visas to people who they believe are going to be a burden to the public purse. So they're certainly not going to give visas to the mothers of these children. So what am I supposed to do in a situation like that?
We're getting into at the minute we're just trying to go through the initial application so you can then consider before whether it's the right thing for you to do and whether or not you want to submit the request. So we've gone through the section 3, which is where you think the child is, and we've ascertained it's in evidence, and I've explained about the detail that we need from you. The next section is on the time, the place, the date, and the circumstances of the wrongful removal. So you've given me lots of information during this phone call, which would be really great for you to include on the form as well. So it wasn't initially clear from the first application that you made, the detail about the guardian and how what role the guardian was playing in your life, and the fact that the guardian wasn't initially clear that the guardian was the mother of the child, and any details around the circumstances of the removal. So you've gone into a little bit of detail about the pregnancy and that the mother was over here receiving NHS care, and then she'd then removed herself and the child from the country. So all of that is really good detail. If you could include that in that section there, it gives a little bit more background.
Yes, and also another reason the mother left is because the last thing that we want to do is to make any problems whatsoever for the mother, and the mother had only been given a 1-month visa, and so or 6 months maybe.
Yeah, I think one of the things for you to consider. So it's a judicial process between two parties. So the Hague, within the Hague process, you've got the applicant who is you, and then you've got we call heard until they're in the judicial system, normally referred to as the respondent, if you are involving the mother, the child, the alleged taking parent, you do need to be aware of that as well. I don't want you to be under the illusion that she wouldn't be made aware, for example,
Make it Wednesday.
that you've made this application, because that would have to happen for their process to be able to take place. So,
Wednesday, Mother, Wednesday.
hello.
All day Wednesday.
Are you still there, Mr. Walter? Hello?
Sorry about this. I was just multitasking here.
Okay.
Just bear with me a second.
No problem.
Before that form goes off, I just want to make sure that I've given you the right information and that there's nothing on there that people can get wrong.
Yeah, that's fine. You'll need to submit another form. I can't send the form that I currently have off because there's just not enough information on there, Mr. Coulton. So I'm just going through the information that we need from you still. So there's still a few bits outstanding. If it's easy, I can send the parts outstanding as discussed over via email, highlighting clearly which part of the form that they relate to.
Make sure you send me a copy of the form I filled in as well.
I will indeed. Yeah, no problem.
And if you can put everything in bullet points, then it's easier for me.
Yeah, no worries. I can do bullet points, and I'll set out section by section what's still outstanding, and I'll try and explain and try and write down as well things for you to consider. So as I explained, whilst we do respect data protection, data privacy, we do need to have full details from you. And we've got up to, I think we're up to section 6 of things that are missing, and there's still a couple more to go, but I can send them over to email.
I'm sorry if I make things difficult for you or I take away your resources from your other clients, but I'm in a different situation from other people.
No, I understand. I do understand that, and I want to demonstrate that we are willing to, of course we want to be able to work with you in a way that works for you, and I understand that you've got adjustments that will need to be made, many of which we can make, some of which I don't know if I'm fully understanding, but because I've got the list of kind of adjustments that you want, but certainly I can give you a call and speak through on the telephone in the first instance before notifying you of any email correspondence that comes in.
It's difficult because I really find it difficult to explain my situation satisfactory. I think essentially because the problem that I have is essentially a word-finding disability, and therefore whatever I put in writing, I'm going to miss something or not get something right, or make it sound that I'm talking deluded rubbish.
Yeah, okay. Well, hopefully then, when I respond to you, which I'll do within the next hour, and I'll go through point by point any information that's missing, and I won't ask you to fill out the actual Icacu form. You can complete it in the format that you've completed it in already, but it just needs to be a lot more detailed.
Yes.
And then I've also included, Mr. Coulton, a response to, you call it an addendum, which is the issues that you'd like addressing. So I've just made a note that I've noted the things that you've said. I have to say, thanks for going through a lot of it on the phone today. It's a little bit more clear to me now, but I still don't fully understand around the kind of guardianship training and the general orthotic support.
That is all. When I talk about orthotic support, is that the guardian, the mother, never received any training because, apart from not knowing what a guardian is, the social workers don't even provide training. And so this is part of the reason why the relationship broke down, was because in order for the guardian to work successfully with me, they would have had to have a certain level of training so that they can understand how to work with somebody like me. And the problem is that training is not available anywhere. It doesn't even exist.
Yeah, I understand that. It's really challenging, Mr. Coulton. It's not something that Icacu directly can support, but I know the issue, and I've responded and said I know that you've said that, but I don't have anything that I can say on it because it's not my area. Same with like other points, so anonymity obviously I'll explain on there that we respect confidentiality, but identity disclosure is necessary for transmission to foreign central authority. So you'll need to consider that if you're happy to kind of disclose identities, and we can accept the application. If you're not happy to do that, we can't accept the application.
Well, fine. If you don't accept the application, does that mean I lose my rights?
What do you mean losing rights?
For my child to be brought up in England.
Well, I don't have any. As I say, we're not court. We're not a judge. We're not taking or giving anyone rights. We're an administrative body that is responsible for transmitting and receiving the applications. The rights of access and things like that to your child. That is judicial legal point. It's not a point for Icacu.
Well, I don't know. I just feel that the whole system is designed to leave people who are disabled as the losers, specifically because they're disabled.
Yeah. Well, I can't comment on that because I'm not. That's not what we're getting into here. We're getting into whether or not Icacu could accept an application with sufficient information from you, and we absolutely can. And the process is there to, as I say, return children back to their country of habitual residence. That's the point of the Hague Convention. And it is a judicial and court process. I know.
Well, I understand, but I'd like to meet the people who invented this and ask them if when they invented their process, did they ever consider people in my situation, or were the people when they invented this living in the kind of in the 1960s or 1950s when how can I put it, when people had different attitudes?
Yeah.
You see, I mean, I don't know how far back these things stem. And when you deal with large bureaucracies, you're dealing with laws that were established in times when attitudes were different.
Yeah.
You follow it?
I understand that. I understand. I'm trying to understand some of the challenges that you're facing. As I say, I'm more than happy to work in a way that works for you. We can only work within the kind of boundaries of what we can actually do.
When was this particular aspect of the Hague of returning children to their country as habitually resident? When was that established, may I ask?
So this is a 1988 convention. That's when the convention came about.
88.
That's the 1988 convention.
I don't think that that even these days people don't recognise dual body identities, let alone back in 1988. But 98, 08, 18, we're dealing with things that are nearly 40 years old.
Yeah. So the convention is the operation of the convention works it's constantly worked on, and it's constantly developed, and the way that central authorities operate.
I have written to the gentleman in charge, Doctor some Italian name, Bernard something or other. He doesn't reply to his letters. I mean, the people who work on these things, these are the people I should be having a discussion with to find out what is their attitude towards people and families in my type of situation.
Yeah, okay. Well, I can certainly say from my perspective, I want to help as much as I can, assist and work in a way that works for you. I've gone through some of the ways that I can try and do that. I'm going to explain everything clearly via email to you as well, including some of the points that I haven't gone over because it's just a very long response that I've written out that I need to get into a format that works for you, but I will put it all out into kind of bullet points for you, Mr. Coulton. I'm happy to give you a call before I send an email because I know that when you first made your application, I wasn't exactly clear on what you were looking for, but I'm more than happy to give you a call before I send any emails. I'll deal with your case as well, so you'll have that one person dealing with the case for the time being. If I'm off, you may see emails that come through or phone calls that come through that aren't from me, but that's because I'm having some annual leave, or I'm having some break, or I'm poorly and I'm away from the office. On the whole, I'll be the case manager.
Just to let you know that I have a brain injury, I can't remember names and faces. So if you were to call me tomorrow, I might not remember by name, but I probably remember by subject matter.
No problem. Well, emails now, you will be given a reference number, so case number, and I'll correspond with you from that case. And that is, it's not coming from a do not reply email address. It's coming from the case management system. So it's just within a secure system that we correspond from.
Yeah.
And if you do send any emails back to us, I'll write this in the email as well, so that it's visually for you to help you with remembering. But if you can just make sure you include your reference number, then we'll make sure that the emails fall onto the correct file as well.
And I am working very hard outside of your international child abduction protocols to find solutions that are going to work. It's not easy.
No, I understand that. It's very, very challenging, and I'm sorry to hear of the issues that you're facing. I'm going to leave the call now because I need to go and get this email sent over to you. But I'll speak to you again soon, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Yes, thank you.
All right, take care. Bye, Mr. Thompson.
Thank
Bye
you.
now.
Thank you.
Bye.